Hi, this is Deborah with 60 Plus Black Women Expats, the YouTube channel and the Facebook group. And if you don't have to be 60 to join the Facebook group, it's just that our focus uh, are things that are specific or particular to retirees because unlike digital nomads, we're not looking to be employed. We're looking to get somewhere and finally do the things we said we always dreamed of doing when we were working, when we retired. Mine was to live near the water, live on the water, close to the ocean as possible. I'm from Texas, but I traveled with my career and fell in love with clean, clear ocean waters and love Hawaii. I got to be quite a snob and would refuse to go to Galveston because I said that's not a beach, that's a mud hole. Forgive me, other fellow Texans. I know Kima is supposed to be better. Yeah, whatever. It's not Hawaii. It's not Puerto Vallarta. It's not Brazil. Oh my God, the water in Brazil. But anyway, I'm getting off subject. I want to thank those who responded to um, the day to day or day in the life of an expat, and in particular, my life as an expat in Manta. I posted the first of the series of what day to day life looks like, which was a request from someone in the Facebook group. They said, "We don't want to see you at restaurants and functions. What does every day look like? And what are things that we who have not, or we can expect when we move abroad, when we live abroad?" And my first one yesterday was expected, unexpected, and I covered the rental situation, or paying your rent to be specific. So you can go and look at that one. I think it's about 16 minutes. And there were comments. And thank you for those comments. And one in particular was about Tyson, because when I recorded the video yesterday, I was outside walking Tyson. And someone asked me how difficult or what was the situation with deciding to travel um, with Tyson to move abroad with my dog. Um, Tyson and I are a team. We're inseparable. If I'm going to move, Tyson is moving with me. Tyson, in fact, is a service dog, a trained service dog. I trained him, and I trained three prior dogs to be service animals because service animals get to travel in with you inside an airplane without being in a confinement, a cage or carrier, because they are service dogs. And training him to become a service dog, there is certain. First of all, the U.S. does not have an official registry for service dogs. Um, So when you see them all suited up with their vests and their tags and everything, you can pretty much order that stuff from Amazon. However, there are guidelines that that dog must be able to, and rules that that dog must be able to perform, and that basically behave himself and behave his handler or his owner in public. So you can't pass off a dog as being a service dog if he is relieving himself in public places and just anywhere he wants to, or if he's growling at people and showing aggression. And so, and there's several other steps or things that dog must perform in order to meet the criteria of being a service dog. And so he loves flying. Oh my gosh, Tyson is a ham. Uh, when I put that vest on, he just he assumes the position of, oh, I get to work, I get to show off, and he will strut through airports like he owns them. But that came from training. Like when I knew it was going to be a very long flight, over 4 hours, I trained Tyson to go, uh, to be able to hold from relieving himself for 6 hours. And an adult dog can certainly do that and be quite comfortable. That's why people can have dogs in apartments where they walk them in the morning and then they don't get home until 6 in the evening or later and walk the dog. The one of the It's not even a trick. It should be a rule. Is to not leave food down for a dog. When you leave food down for a dog, he will nibble all day. If he nibbles all day, his digestion is totally thrown off. You can feed the dog twice a day if it's an adult. Now puppies, I'm not talking about puppies. That's a whole nother category. But an adult dog can eat once a day. And I've always trained my dogs to eat once a day because I know exactly how many hours before they need to relieve themselves. The dog is comfortable. I am comfortable. Everybody around, because if you think about that, all dogs were, derived from wolves, and wolves track and hunt their prey, and their enemies hunt them by the smell of them relieving themselves. So they can actually go quite a distance and quite a time without relieving themselves and tipping off um, the animal that's going to prey on them, that they're in the area. That's probably way too much information about dogs. But in any case, I love dogs. And I love learning about dogs. And I love learning about their breeds. Now, specifically, how difficult was it for me to bring Tyson to Ecuador? Oh, first, if you hear, I almost didn't do this video because I wanted to do it outside of my hammock day to day. I'm in this hammock at least once a day because it rarely rains except during rainy season. And today is a typical day. I'll turn so you can see. There's Tyson, my sidekick. Where I am, Tyson is. And you can see it's a beautiful overcast day in Mata. And what you can hear, oh, that's my barbecue pit. I got that on Friday and I fired it up on Saturday, and I had barbecue for Easter Sunday. I did mention I'm a Texan, so I know how to fire up some meat. I said, this girl is on fire. Yes, I went there. In any case, Tyson is looking at me like, I know she didn't say that. I'm going to pan around just so you can see the look he's giving me, like, mom and her corny jokes, whatever. Anyway, the reason I said I almost didn't make this, but I decided to go ahead and make the video, was because there is a building going up literally next door. There's a condo across from me, and between that condo and mine, they're building a new condo. And the construction started 2 weeks after I moved in. I woke up to very loud noise of earth movers and stuff like that. I bring that up because when you live abroad, you don't control the noise. It is best to do a boots on the ground and spend enough time where you can scout out neighborhoods during the day and at night. Because while it might be quiet and tranquil during the day because there's no construction going on, it can be quite noisy at night with the culture celebrating family and holidays that are specific to that culture and that area of the world. And so you have a lot of people complaining about loud music. You have lovers serenading each other on balconies, and it can get quite loud. Or you can move in and it's very quiet, and then they decide you're going to build next door to you, and you are going to either move or endure the noise. And so I decided to go ahead and make this video because this is a part of life abroad, especially in Manta, which is we have a tourist. We have tourists, and it's growing. We have cruise ships that come here. I think Norwegian Cruise Line. Oh, I mentioned them. They should be in affiliate. But in any case, there's a couple of cruise lines that come here. We're not a big tourist city, and I'm thankful for that. That helps keep our prices uh, not being reflected by a lot of tourists. But um, that's beside the point. We do have tourists come here. There is construction going on. Construction noise is part of the day-to-day life. Construction noise, or I'll call it cultural noise. We call it noise, they call it celebrations. And you have to be respectful of that, or move to an area where there's not a lot of that going on. That's why it's so important to do a boots on, what I call a boots on the ground, where you are not coming for a vacation to enjoy the beach or do snorkeling or windsurfing or stuff like that. That's a vacation. A boots on the ground is when you're coming to scout out potential places to live, grocery shopping, the medical facilities, the dental facilities, emergency care, just everything that you require to make your life comfortable. That's what you do doing the boots on the ground. When I did the boots on the ground in Puerto Vallarta, I was there 6 weeks. I purposely didn't do anything touristy or vacationing, more as I made up, until that last, I'd say, week or 10 days after I had finished and checked off everything that I thought I would need to be happy. I did a ton of research about Manta and did not do a boots on the ground. Would I have still moved here? Absolutely. Would I have packed differently? Absolutely. So I broke my own rule, and I regretted it because it was tiny stuff that, like the Bible says, it's the little foxes that warn the vine. It was the tiny stuff that got under my skin that I could have found at a dollar store, literally a dollar store in the U.S., that I could not find here, or I found here, and it was 10 times the amount that I would pay in the States because it was imported. Okay, so day-to-day includes things like the noise, and I'm recording this video during the noise in the back because you live life. If I had to wait to live life until the construction stopped, which will be in the evening, and then the cultural noises of celebration, shopping, parties, or whatever, then I would never make a video. Now, I will say that my neighborhood is where I live is very quiet at night, very quiet. If I live closer to the mall, or just pretending, I mean, just depending on your particular neighborhood, whether it's going to be noisy or not, and if there are a lot of Airbnbs near you, and there are young people coming and going. So the noise is part of the video, is part of being an expat and recording videos during the day. Okay, I've already 14 minutes into this, and I started talking about Tyson, but jumped around. When I decided so first I trained Tyson in terms of, and all the dogs that I travel with, I bring them to airports. I brought them to airports when I had no plans to fly. I wanted them to get used to, and this was after I had done all the other training, obedience training and everything. and he could go in and out of grocery store, hardware stores, and anywhere else with me. In America, service dogs have special privileges under ADA, American Disabilities Association. That does not exist in most foreign countries. It's American Disability Association. So, whereas I lived in a no pets building in downtown Dallas, I had no problem with Tyson because he is a service animal, and they're considered like a wheelchair to a crippled person, or cane or CNI dog to a blind person. They are different from care and comfort. At one time, you could fly with a dog for care and comfort, or pet for care and comfort, but that was so abused, where you have people getting on airplanes with, I kid you not, miniature horses, snakes, turtles, um, pigs, anything they could think of. Till years back, probably about 4 or 5 years back, I'm not sure, they said absolutely not. Only a dog. Only a dog can be a service animal, because people were being attacked and bitten. You had people bring on service spiders. I mean, it just got to be ridiculous. But in any case, so I trained Tyson, who has switched positions. There, now he's sunning himself. Yes, well, video by Tyson, so I'm including him in this one. So prior to Puerto Vallarta, Tyson and I went to two different airports because we would be making different connections. And I, in DFW, I mean in Dallas, I have the benefit of being near DFW as well as what field Southwest Airlines flies out of. And so whichever one I was nearest, I took him out. We went through the parking garage with in elevators. I mean, we just as if I was flying that particular day. So I actually stood in lines, and other pets had to go by. Baggage was the ultimate test, because there's so much noise in the baggage department, because bags are coming down the chute and people are rolling carts, and that's one of the things. Now, if you are flying with a dog or a pet that's going to be a carry-on, and there's certain breeds that cannot go in cargo, they have to be carried in a carrier, and they can be in the cabin with you. They're not service animals, they're just pets, and you pay for them. You buy a ticket for them. You don't have to purchase a ticket for a service animal unless they he shows behavior that says that's not a service animal, that's a pet you're trying to pass off. He's been aggressive, he's wetting, he's going up and sniffing. I mean, he's just not acting like a trained dog. He's not a trained service dog. He's acting like a pet, and the animal will always give you away. So, if you're going to have a service animal, either pay to have them trained or learn the guidelines and do self-training. When I decided to come to Ecuador, I found out that Ecuador requires he gets a certificate from the USDA. USDA, we're not going to eat him. I call those types of requests money grabs, because if you want to take the animal, you got to do what they say you have to do, no matter how crazy it may seem to you. So $314 later, I get a vet for the certificate that's stamped USDA, so that I could bring Tyson to Ecuador. I had to go to a veterinarian who was certified to get me that certification, and he didn't have to have extra shots or anything, because he had to be up to date on all of his vaccinations and everything, and he was. So I had to present all the documentation, which I already had, to maintain a healthy dog. And I had to go to a specific veterinarian clinic or vet who was licensed and qualified to take my documentation and send it to the USDA, get it stamped. That's it. I'm paying $314 for a stamp. They stamp it USDA, and I get the certificate back, and now he's clear to go. I upload all that to the airlines. Tyson actually has his own flying ID with American Airlines, so they know when I buy a ticket and I check off the section that says special assistance, and service animal or service dog is now one of those boxes that I will check. And when I check that box, there's documentation that I upload prior to my date of travel, and I actually get confirmation back, usually all done through email, that he's ready to go. And so I have a folder with all his information, and we had absolutely no problems. When one thing that I discovered when taking Tyson to Puerto Vallarta was that they would do a pat down. My service animal does not like to be touched by strangers that thoroughly. You can, if I say it's okay, he will allow you to pet him and play with him. But they had to take his vest off, which snaps on, just snapped on and snapped out, and literally pat him down while I stand to the side, and he handled it like a pro. He just stood there and let a stranger. The guy was scared, which had me anxious because dogs pick up on energy. Why on earth would they have someone who is afraid of dogs do the pat down? But we made it through. And so I learned that when I go through TSA, that they may pat down the dog. And so Tyson now is, like I said, he was comfortable doing that. So you have to know the temperament of your dog, and he has to be trained. And that was an unexpected thing. So that's what it took for me to get Tyson to Ecuador. When I got to customs, they actually kept the certificate and said I would get it when he leaves the country. I had copies and have it online, so I didn't have a problem with it, but that was a surprise. And they too examined him, played with him mostly, and I was out of customs in minutes, literally probably less than 15 minutes. So by flying with Tyson. Now, in terms of housing, of course, my realtor knew ahead of time that I had an animal, and as I said, ADA stands for American Disabilities Association. It does not stand, there's no EDA, there's no Ecuador Disabilities Association. So I have to pay a pet deposit. I don't pay rent. My rent didn't go up, but I did have to pay a security deposit, whereas in the States that is not, that would be waived. And that was expected. I was told that ahead of time. And that is in case you move with an animal that's going to destroy property. Tyson is not allowed on furniture. He's never been trained to be allowed on furniture. He has very comfortable mats, and he kind of finicky his mat. So there's his cushion, which is right at my hammock, which he's not on right now. But if I were to come and get in my hammock and I had laundered his cushion or pad, he will come over and bump me on each side of the hammock or go under it and just push up. He will annoy me until I realize that I can't be comfortable if he's not comfortable. So I'll have to go in and get his mat and bring it out here. And then he may or may not get on it. Most of the time, if he's been pushy like that, he'll get on it and then look at me as if I was being difficult. There are some places that are no pets. Doesn't matter if he's a service dog or not. Like I said, that kind of law does not apply here. So it did limit some of the places where I could move to. I was told how Ecuador is just pet friendly. I would say Ecuador is tiny pet friendly because the first time I took Tyson to go into a grocery store, they stopped me and asked me to carry him. Tyson is 64 pounds. He's probably 4 pounds overweight. His normal weight is like 58 to 60. He's in a healthy range. There's no way I can lift Tyson. So most of the pets around here are tiny pets. You see people, I wouldn't even call it walking their dogs because they're carrying the dog. They put the dog down, the dog releases himself, and then they scoop the dog up and they're on with the walk. Well, the person is getting exercise, but the dog is being carried. I don't want a dog I have to carry. I find it funny to see these people with dogs be under their arms walking with their dogs. But in any case, yes, they're pet friendly, but they want teeny tiny dogs. So the landlord was, oh my gosh, that's a big dog. And I know they're thinking this dog could tear up a sofa, curtains, drapes, whatever, because and big dogs they can destroy a lot of property. However, my pet deposit stayed the same regardless of his size. I did show that he was a service dog, considered a service dog, and did have special training, and was not allowed on furniture and stuff. And so the two places that I've lived did not cause a problem. There were some places that I wasn't even shown because they don't make any exceptions. There's no pets. It's almost up to 30 minutes, so I'll stay on track. I had planned to visit back in the U.S. For August for one of my grandchildren's birthday, and Tyson and I were going to fly home in July of last year. That's when I discovered that the U.S. said, wait a minute, you're bringing an animal, a dog from Ecuador? Oh, you have to get a CDC certificate. I'm thinking, the dog didn't have COVID. Now I know CDC, Center for Disease Control, covers, but the CDC, again, I term those money grabs because who are you going to argue with? So I take out his paperwork, and he has to be, the CDC certificate takes about 60 days. 60 days. So July was out because I was only notified by the airline for 2 or 3 weeks out that I had not gone through everything I needed to go through to get his ID registration updated. That's when I discovered I needed a CDC certificate. I have a wonderful veterinarian who is Ecuadorian and speaks excellent English. Oh my God, how blessed am I? And she completed the paperwork. They have to have a blood screen. So here it was more involved. They had to draw blood, and I'm trying to recall, there was a span of, they examine him, draw blood. I bring him back on the 28th day, and they do the same thing. Oh, he needed his some shots updated. That's the second part. So he was getting updated on his vaccinations here. I missed by 11 days being back in the U.S. where he would have got his vaccination there. That 11 days cost me dearly. So I had to get his vaccinations here. They were a lot cheaper, but now I had to wait 28 days and have him come back in, and that's when they drew blood and did the screening to make sure his protection levels were where they should be, and they always are. And I thought, okay, I'm good to go. No. From that 28 days, I was informed that Ecuador is not one of the countries that the U.S. recognizes their certification. So even though they did all the work here, the paperwork had to be sent to Mexico. And that cost me close to $400 again, just to send it to a country which happens to be on the U.S. list for them to look at the paperwork of the work that was done in Ecuador, stamp it and mail it back. And because neither Ecuador or Mexico have a federal mail system, who knows how long it took to get it there. And that's probably a whole lot more detail than you needed to know. But you do need to know that if you're going to travel with a pet overseas, you need to know what are the rules and guidelines that you need to obey and what restrictions apply. And I'm tired of talking now, so I'm going to end. But, to make a long story short, we did not make that trip. And then I rescheduled for the day after Christmas because my children came down and spent Christmas here a week before, and we were all going to fly back. Tyson got sick, went to the vet, and could not make the trip, which was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I then found out, because I was going to be, T and I would be in the U.S. in January, I would have to start the process with the USDA all over again to bring him back. So, because I am a house sitter, I got a house sitter for Tyson. He got to stay in his familiar surroundings. He loved his sitters, and I got to go home for a visit. And I was gone for almost a month, a few days from being a month. So that's part of what life looks like, living with your pet abroad. Continue to comment, because as you can see, I'm reading the comments. I'm responding to the comments, and you said you like this type of information on my day-to-day life in Ecuador. Also, share it, because you never share it on your social media, the link to the video, because you probably have a friend that you don't even know who wants to be an expat, but is afraid to tell anyone because they don't want to hear horror stories about life abroad. Until next time, thank you so much. Keep the comments coming. Thank you for subscribing. And until next time. So I covered 2 topics today. The importance of boots on the ground, especially if you're sensitive to noise, being able to pick a neighborhood where you are happy with the level of quiet or the level of noise at night, which would require you being there several times, more than a week. I would say be there at least through one of the local or international holidays so you can see what actually goes on. Okay, until next time, be safe, never give up on your dreams. Baby steps are still steps. So just keep on moving forward, and even if you have to pause, it's just a pause, it's not a period. Start over. Or you can pick up where you left off. Thank you so much. Goodbye. From Tyson and I.